Executive committee meeting to order. For a motion to adopt the agenda.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion on the agenda? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Carries. How about we got a couple of meetings here, October 12th and on November 9th.
I will move to approve both. I read them. I didn't see anything out of line that I could remember.
Second.
Any discussion on the minute? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Is there any public comments? We're aware.
Nope.
Okay. Any supervisors present not seated as committee members have any information for this committee? All right, we'll have a discussion and possible action regarding the rules of order. Would like to lead us in that.
So at this point, all of the other committees have reviewed the rules of order as it relates to their committee. And Shabana and I met before that and went through and made recommendations and then provided those to Mo. And so we kind of had staffs, whether it's cleanup or suggestions. And so this is your opportunity to review the entirety of those changes and make a recommendation, I guess, to the full board. You won't be changing anything, but the full board will then make a recommendation to the next board that will be seated in April.
Okay.
So I have a
So be
question.
the document that comes to the next board
It could be,
to
but
review. Yeah, I mean, for a starting point.
but we would like,
Yeah.
as the executive committee and, you know, kind of overseeing everything else, if you want to take a deeper dive now.
So we had some discussion in our committee. Should I?
Let's go through it line by line, get to the right ones. Should we do that?
uh,
So we're not jumping around.
Yeah, I need a bigger picture than that. But go ahead. We could do line by line.
What?
Before we get started, we're gonna embed the code of ethics in here.
That is a discussion, yep. And so Shabana sent me yesterday what we think is the latest draft. I sent it to you.
Yep.
You give the thumbs up, so, did we print those, Shabana? I didn't either.
I can if you want me to.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, well, let's maybe work on the rules of order and then we can get to that.
So I have one mark under 223.
Okay.
The county board chairperson's reimbursement request shall be approved by any county board supervisor. Under that E, does that sound right?
That's the way it currently stands. Yeah.
That's the way it currently is. Okay.
Yes. So when Jay turns in reimbursements, any other county board supervisor signs off on it.
Yeah, the other day, him and I were at the counter together. He just handed his over to me.
Yeah.
Handed mine over to him.
Oh, okay.
So,
So that's not a problem or anything, or hasn't been?
We haven't had any,
You haven't had,
we haven't had any problem doing it.
okay.
It seems to get accomplished. I don't know what happens when they're presented to payroll or anything like that. I don't have anything to do with that. Shabana does on some of them. They don't all get there for some reason.
Okay. It just seemed like anybody could walk in, but it was only for yours. If I read it.
just for that.
It's only for
Just for
him.
him.
Just for his. So I did read it right. there.
Jay signs off on everybody else's. So for
Somebody signs his off. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
I sign off on anything other than the standing committee ones.
Correct. Yeah. Standing committees are automatic. We send those directly from.
But it has to be a county board supervisor.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which is fine, you know,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. They don't know what we're doing anyway.
All right, going through, anybody see anything else?
Do Do you want us to go through like why we added and changed some stuff? So starting at the 223, like, letter C. We put in there that for travel and attendance at appointed boards, committees, or meetings, just to clarify that, you know, somebody going to other meetings that they're not a member of or part of, that they're not turning in reimbursements for that. So like some of that stuff is what we added in there. Do you want us to go through each of those things or just?
Well,
Well, D was added because it's virtual are exempt. I see
That was just a recommendation, completely up for discussion.
And we did put, you know, in the comment bubbles, kind of a brief explanation on most of these.
This was the one that we got pushed back in HHS because of lots of reasons, so. Do we,
for the virtual.
for the virtual, yeah. Do we want, how do we,
I think that however the chair wants to.
so the comment on the virtual was that this is further making it difficult for people who have careers and jobs to attend. So we shouldn't penalize them for actually participating when you can participate fully. Pardon?
During COVID was when this was really.
Yeah, otherwise you had to be here.
Yeah, you have to be
No
here.
tuning in, and we can't let it get back to a point where everybody just tunes in.
Oh, I don't think people, I
virtual
haven't seen
stuff.
anybody abusing it. I think I see people using it when they're at a particular meeting, you know, like their work calls them somewhere that out of town.
And again, I mean, we're not making a new rule here. We're suggesting to the next board, they might want to look at it. And do you want to pay people virtual? If they do, they'll pay them. If they don't, they won't pay them.
But if you run for this, you should know, here's when your meetings are. and
Oh,
stuff.
of course, I don't think
I
people
mean,
are
that's,
abusing
I think
this.
that's part of it too, that it got abused a little bit
It did?
in spots. Well, yeah, nobody wants to show up. I mean, that's terrible, I think.
I don't think we have
It's
very
kind of
many
our
people,
job to be here.
we don't really have people,
We don't have
board
that many,
members
but I mean, when it's,
hanging out
and
online.
it just, I mean, that would be, I think the county board chair or whoever is chair, they could make that exception if somebody is out of town or
Isn't
something.
there almost something in the statutes that they can come to your house and pick you up and bring you here?
There is.
That is for county board meeting, yes.
Well, they
That's,
don't-
I don't believe that's, but I believe that is for county. Yes.
Oh, there's a
So
taxi
you're in
service.
Montana,
Is
come
that what
on
you're saying,
again.
Russ?
14 hours one way.
Yeah.
The next
If they
one's
are not
down for me.
excused.
Yeah.
You can-
Excuse, they can go get them.
But I mean, there's gotta be an exception in there for if somebody's sick or something or health reason. But
I
I
know
don't know
it's-
if they get paid for it then.
I know it's come up. I mean, some
Yeah.
people have said people shouldn't be paid virtual. If they want to tune in, fine. Long as we have a quorum, we're gonna have a meeting. And it was just mentioned that they hardly participate from home. I'm finding that there's little participation virtually.
Yeah,
So are
it
we
was just-
saying that they should,
we have it where they don't get paid.
wait,
Maybe,
hold on.
maybe it's just a good idea to highlight, this is something for the next board to consider, because
Yeah,
Yeah.
not just let it slide by.
Yeah.
That it seriously should be looked at and a decision should be made by the entire board.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
That's what we should be doing on all of these suggestions.
yeah, that's
yeah, okay.
some,
Well, some of them are pretty general. I mean, I
yeah.
see a lot of changing the word shall to may.
Yeah.
And some of that might have to go back. Yeah,
Well, I mean, shall is a pretty strong word.
It's
Yeah.
powerful.
but if you put may in periodical, it means nothing. You take the whole line out then. To me, I mean,
Well, it still means something. It's just
it
not.
doesn't mean anything. If you may
Absolute.
do it, it's the same as saying you're not gonna do it ever.
Well,
I mean, in spots, it does work, but a
All right,
lot
so
of-
let's definitely highlight.
number D there,
the,
about the virtual.
Highlight that so that one definitely gets looked at.
Okay.
How about the next one?
which one are you at?
Well, I don't know if we're gonna go through every one. We
I
might as
thought
well
we
just
just did.
go to.
Procedure for expense, the next is E.
That one, there's nothing changed in that one. It was just a review of the process and if that's how it wants to be continued to be done. However, F is new. There was concerns about, like supervisors getting paid for things, but on our like payroll and pay stubs, you just see the tax exempt and the non-tax exempt. This is actually sending out what mileage and what committee meetings you're getting paid for. I know that some supervisors were
That would be
interested in
helpful.
having that. So we did add that provision in there about getting that sent out either from finance or from the clerks.
And you work with Tammy quite a bit on those.
We work with Kirsten. She's the finance person
Yeah.
that takes care of that. Yep. Is
So
there any?
So she's the one that sends out the, all of everything that's being paid for and how much and for what dates we're at.
I didn't know that she was currently
You
sending
can do
them out.
that. She has a capable, and that's what a lot of individuals want. So otherwise, it's pretty hard to keep track of what you might think you're getting paid for. All of a sudden you get a,
So you get something now that outlines everything?
I don't, oh, she requested, I think.
It was, I think they requested, and you're proposing that we get something now.
Yes.
Yeah.
well, let's,
It would be run right with our payroll, which is how it's currently done, but you would actually have like
It's
An itemized.
itemized. Yeah, that's helpful.
she ran one for me and it itemized everything that.
Yeah, that comes from the finance department. So it would be coming from Kirsten.
So
or
anything
my-
that you handle, approve and go on, should probably go through her so she can accommodate that.
Well,
That-
Kirsten already has it. She keeps that spreadsheet. It's finance that houses that spreadsheet that has everything.
You turn it into her, she gives it to that.
Okay,
I take it right
You
to
can fix
finance.
everything right up there too.
all right, well, all right, good.
So it is in there that can be done if that's interesting.
Somebody wanted that?
Yes.
Well, it's impossible to figure out. All of a sudden you get a check or some deposit in the account and you have no idea what it's for.
Well, I would think that'd be wonderful.
Not knowing what it's for.
I should want to put it in there.
So let me ask a question. I think I've asked this before, but is there any thought to making this electronic? That we can just go on to a portal or something, or is that?
It's impossible for some of the
Okay.
supervisors.
It's a valid
But is it
point.
possible, the ones that could do it?
That would be a finance question for sure. I don't think we have anything that speaks to that system right now. It's just a spreadsheet and they, I believe, hand enter
Could be some
everything into.
privacy things to be
It
left.
just seems like one less thing for you to have to do. You're
Let's have the-
shuffling paper and emails up to
Have the
finance.
next
and-
board cons- You
That's her
know,
job.
review that and do what they.
She has to
want
redo it.
I know, but we could make it a little easier and a little more efficient.
Absolutely.
Well, we'd still have to review it. I mean, we don't want double.
I'm sure
Moving
IT
thing.
can figure out something with the fresh service that you guys could go in there
Well-
and put it through for.
It sounds not,
Well, and then the chair would still have to approve it. So the chair would have to have access to. So,
It still worked the same way.
yeah,
We're switching payroll systems, I think, in July,
Yes.
from the current payroll system to a different payroll system. So that might be a whole nother.
Come to consider at that time. All right,
We built that platform.
all right.
Okay, next section, we didn't have any suggestions. This was edited and modified a couple of terms ago regarding the removal of the chair.
Where you at?
where are you?
He's in
Two
section,
twenty-four.
Went down to the next.
there's nothing
So we-
changed in that.
we-
Nothing that they changed in that.
So 225, it's just one word was changed.
we changed that word, but it's also for consideration because this doesn't really happen much.
Maybe there's no important matters impacting the county,
Aren't providing any report for anything, so.
but it says only if there's
Important matters.
important matters.
So it's up for discussion.
Just
Keep it, leave it, throw it.
Yeah, I don't think,
That's,
it shouldn't say shall. None it's required. I think may is an appropriate word there.
depends on what you consider important too.
Yeah.
You know,
But I think anything that is that important is brought up.
it sure should be.
It would already be in his
Yeah.
chair report or the administrator report, but it would already fall.
All right, how about the next one?
This one, because our current so this was mine just because I watched these webinars, you know. There was suggestion of actually having the current board set in place the rules for the next board. So currently we have the new board adopt them in April. So just kind of a procedure discussion, if you want to continue to have the new board in April adopt them, or if it would make more sense to have the current board adopt them for the new board. So,
So is this B amendment procedure suggesting that the current board votes in the new ones for the next one?
no, this is just highlighting, I believe that this is what it currently is. It did not change anything.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Just for discussion, if you did want to.
I think we should have for discussion for the next board about whether they want to change procedure.
Yep.
Just like we're doing with everything else.
Perfect.
Good thing to talk about.
Yeah.
And we definitely don't want to set the rules for the next.
Can't, I don't think.
That's not.
Yeah.
That'd be like setting the committee, setting times and dates for the next committee. I mean, that's,
Yeah, and for the whole next year and something, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
all right, what's next?
The materials presented by people speaking during public comment. A lot of times they've been handing things out to you guys. Is that something that you do want specifically to come to the clerk directly and not to be handed out?
And then you would give it to us?
I mean, is it any different if they hand it to me and then I hand it out to you, or if they hand it out to you directly at the same time? I mean, that kind of,
It's in a few different
I think what
places.
you want to avoid though is you want to avoid public comment becoming a presentation that they're giving out materials to you during the meeting. A public comment
Right.
that comes in and
I
gets
think so.
into that though.
They could give it to us after or something.
Each person.
They can leave
Be able
it
to do a
and make it
presentation too.
available, is what you're saying, and I think, and that's probably the best.
And some
idea.
people may not know, like I noticed that some people go to you, some people hand it to directly. It's consistency would be.
exactly.
Helpful.
Mhm.
It's
Well, and
better
then
for
you-
3 minutes if they want to use their time handing out material,
Yeah.
whatever. No, they probably should give it to the clerk.
Yes,
They don't
Then
need
the
to
clerk
go
will have the
around.
record of what was actually handed out.
This was more intended for some of our, kind of our public hearings. People would come and try to hand us stuff.
You know,
When you already have a stack of stuff that you're trying to do a CUP or something,
yeah.
you can't have people walking up handing us more papers
yeah.
because it's exhibits and stuff. So you have to kind of, I think that was maybe aimed at that a little bit.
All right.
But then
how
we
about
would
the-
have it though in front of us. So like they would
Yeah.
give, you're talking about, then that would go to Shabana and then
But,
we would
but
have,
if you're having a public hearing, they can't walk in and just start handing papers and do all
and
this
get it
other
to you,
stuff.
whatever.
We
Do
gotta
we say 24 hours in
kind of
advance?
keep some.
Well, public comment is 24 hours in advance for like a written comment, but if they're coming in person with documents, I mean, that's still an in-person comment. There's nothing
But you're
about the
saying-
documents ahead of time.
I'm saying it's during like a CUP, a public hearing that way.
But if we're trying to be consistent, shouldn't we say that everything needs to be to Shabana so she can make copies and bring it back to the committee members
If they want them.
if they want?
So, okay,
Then we should put in, they should bring enough copies for everyone. So she doesn't have to leave the meeting to do it.
Oh, so we're gonna let them bring copies at the,
They can bring copies,
Bring
just give them
copies.
to the clerk. Don't walk around in front of everybody handing out material during their presentation.
okay.
so
Clerk
somebody,
will hand it
It's a
out.
poor way to make a presentation
Yeah.
anyway. Any document that you have should be held until after your presentation's been made. Otherwise, when they send something, we're sitting
Right.
looking at that, not listening.
Right, exactly.
so
I
if-
separated presentation from public comment because presentations can run longer. That's why I let some people
Generally.
talk longer and put them on the actual agenda. Public comment shouldn't be, I think, presentations.
It's 3 minutes anyway, and if they
Yeah.
got something that takes 10 minutes to read, that's a bunch of
But
BS.
everybody gets there, they want us to answer
And the
questions.
Timer works really good too, and it buzzes off like that.
Yeah, I
It
like
seems to
that.
be
Help.
quite
I thought it was my hearing aid.
So if somebody comes to a public comment and county board and has a stack of things and wants them out, do you want me to just hold on to them and
Yes.
not distribute at that time until a later date, or if anybody wants it after?
Yes,
Not handing them out during the meeting.
yes.
Yeah, is it a PowerPoint they mean that we follow along with, or
Yeah.
is it information that we read later? Or something we read while they're speaking? Yeah, I think it should be handed out later. Let
Absolutely.
them give their comment, and if there's material, we can review it. I mean, I don't know if they, I think a lot of it, they think they can influence the board on decisions.
Yeah.
Haven't you been getting anything in the mail?
If you get on the,
Yeah.
you get on your whatever, your website or whatever, you can get a lot of things.
And I think we need to separate public hearings where there's an obligation in public hearings to give people a platform to provide
Stuff, yeah.
longer.
Oh, yeah,
worded,
longer, yeah.
And materials, but public comment
It's limited.
is a comment. And if they're then additionally handing out things, I just think you might want to consider recommending that materials should not be handed out during public comment. They can certainly mail or hand deliver to each individual supervisor at some point stuff, because anyone can call you guys and try to lobby for their viewpoint.
Sure.
But why would we then want the clerk to keep this record of this public comment that might be,
That we don't keep anyway.
right? So that's just something to consider. A comment is a comment. It might be a written comment, it might be a verbal comment, but then to provide outside, of course, of a public hearing when we're obligated to accept things as exhibits.
So are you saying that we would have public comment could be either in one form, either written or verbal?
Yeah, it is.
Well, they can
Already.
always write to us.
That's what we have now.
That's what we
but it's
have
a
now.
comment. It's
Yeah.
not providing.
Both at the same time?
emphasis on
Right.
what-
Saying
Yeah.
not both at the same
Right, so
time.
we could change this to just say materials by public comment will not be accepted during meetings.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's changing our
Yeah,
verbiage.
yeah, that's what we're
Just
trying to
do
say.
that it's not during a
Yep.
meeting.
Do you have a Word version?
Yep, I'm already on it.
Are we at 257? Which one is that?
257.
I can change that.
This is just gonna get it to the committee, so it doesn't have to go to county board and then
Right.
to a committee.
That's cleaning it up to do it the way you've been doing it rather than the way it says you should do it.
Yeah, because it says bring everything to county board first to then be distributed to committees for drafting, and it's very kind of two-step. It's confusing, and we've not been doing it that way.
And then all of the initial, see where we added initial drafting.
You
We
know,
left everything the same, but this is the Brad Olson amendment that I made. In other words, I am not a personal secretary to redraft and redraft and redraft and redraft resolutions
No, you're
10
not.
times.
No, you're not.
That's right.
And he knows I've said this to him, so he knows I'm not. We draft the initial one, that's the draft, once it's approved. You know, because I work back and forth with supervisors. I'll send it to the supervisor that's sponsoring the resolution. Is this what you wanted? Once they say, yes, that's good, then I'm done.
then the changes are all done on the floor
Correct.
at the county board meeting.
Because I have lost hours of my life drafting
Redrafting and
Yeah.
resolutions that are at the end of the day.
So then if you bring one to a committee, they can't amend it there.
Committee can't amend, but they can
So
move forward.
here it says you can't amend it
They
after it's been
recommend,
done.
they recommend change.
They could recommend changes, but
Not change it.
you can't change it till at the county board.
Right.
meeting.
Direct.
Yeah, which it says that on
Okay.
E, all further changes and amendments.
That's what I had marked, yeah.
At
So,
county board.
so the board then is always recommendations, they don't amend it.
Right.
Okay.
But if you had, like, for example, a committee, like if someone in our committee had a resolution, worked with you on some edits, and then brought it to a committee, their committee, whatever, the committee could make edits and tweaks then, right?
No,
Or is there some official
No,
thing that
you
once it
can't.
goes through your editing, it's,
it's done, it says.
Right,
It's
so it-
done. And
So
you can't change it till the board, that's what I
no,
was asking.
but
What happens is we end up with about 4 or 5 variations of a certain amendment that you've already got copies of. And you might be reading the wrong one. That's not the one that's being presented because of a couple of word changes in it. And that did happen. And that's why this thing was,
All resolutions should only be changed on the floor at
Right.
county board, not.
what I'm trying to understand is when that clock starts ticking, is that when the
when the
computer?
sponsor, so if the committee is sponsoring a resolution, and that's one of the ways, under C, a supervisor may ask that a topic of legislation be placed on a committee agenda. The committee may direct the matter to my office for drafting.
Yeah,
So then the requester is the committee. So I would have to bring back a draft to the committee and say, is this what you want? You say yay or nay.
For
So
the-
then the committee
okay.
would be, but that's the only one. The rest of the ones where a supervisor is recommending or the administrator, or the chair, then once the supervisor says yes, or once the chair says yes, then it's the draft. But in that C where the committee is the one asking something to be drafted, which doesn't happen very often, but it does from time to time, then it would be the committee's draft to approve.
So if a committee had a member that was trying to think, we have this, sometimes people are trying to think through ideas and da. We wouldn't even talk about it being a resolution. That person would basically get the input, tweak it, edit it before it even got talked about as a resolution, and then it would go to you.
Yeah,
So
and
that's how I'm trying to figure out how to gather input so it's a better resolution
Yeah.
before we have to go to the full board and lock in. And it sounds like it's before it comes to you.
Yes.
That's when the clock starts.
don't give me a one line and say pretty this up. That'd be great.
Oh,
Okay.
got it.
Because then I'm trying to pull straws as to why this would be a good.
No, I get that.
Because
Right.
So basically, if you get it on your agenda for discussion, I think is the best thing. If somebody has an idea,
And then they tweak
Get
it
it
up, put it in a Word document,
well,
edit
do
it back
whatever,
and
but bring it
forth,
to your committee then,
and then go to,
on their agenda,
Yeah.
on your agenda then, because then you can discuss it full.
You could.
yeah, I get that.
Other
part. I was-
ideas can come up and then you can write,
that's what I think happens.
that's what
Somebody
helps.
has an idea and they send it to me for drafting and then they're like, yeah, that looks good. And then they go back to their
Then they gather
public
input.
constituents and, you know,
It all,
no, I didn't want that. And I-
Yeah.
Well,
so that all of a sudden it's,
So we need to get better at gathering edits for our ideas and input before it even comes to your desk.
almost always Brad.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not,
Yes, and when you note it on your agenda, just, note the development of resolution pertaining to this, then the committee can discuss the development of that resolution.
that's what I was, if you can get it on, you have to put it on your agenda so that
Right.
other
Right,
people
no, I
can
get
look
that
at it
part. I
and
was
chew it
just
up.
I was just. trying to
Otherwise, it comes
see-
in so one-sided, you read it and you go, well, you got this to do this.
I was trying to understand that when the clock starts.
yeah.
When we're done with, when the moment in time hits, when anything else has to go, edits go up to the full board.
So whoever the sponsor is, once they say, yes, that's a good draft, that's when it's all right, locked in. Kind of.
Yeah, I see. Got it. Thank
All
you.
right, 258. What something got crossed out here, something got added.
This is Shabana's.
Call me. So currently we have the publication and postmarked the at least 7 days prior to the meeting date. So like our current, actually this month of March agenda situation where 13 was just drafted yesterday. These rules of order are just getting discussed today, but they're already in the county board packet that had to go out and be published on Tuesday. One of these things that can clean this up is moving this to 4 days beforehand. So it'd be essentially the Thursday before a county board meeting is when the actual agenda is due. That would mean no more publishing it in the newspaper, but my caveat to that is sometimes that's really non-transparent. If we're having amendments done to county board agendas, people aren't getting the most up-to-date information anyways. They should be going to our website or 2 spots in our building where it's posted. So this is my proposal, moving it to that 4-day mark instead of the 7 days, just for transparency purposes. And that way all the committees have met before the county board agenda is finalized.
Makes sense.
And one of Shabana's ideas was to publish in the papers that we currently publish in notices that in the future, these are no longer going to be published. Here's the places where you can get it. There is no legal requirement that we publish in the newspaper.
Was that dropped? I thought we had to have, the county had to have a,
It does.
No,
we don't. Okay.
Correct.
That's
Yep.
the old one.
Shabana and I both
Really?
looked into it
I
and
thought we had to have one.
so that we're letting the public know, hey, it's no longer going to be here. You're going to see it on the website and you're going to have the most up-to-date version.
So I did do that this month already. I did publish for the most up-to-date agenda. Please visit our website, and I posted that. I talked to 32 other counties and 30 of them did not post it in the newspaper anymore.
Mhm.
So Just one of those kind of cleanup things.
So then another reason this came up, the 4 days, is BOA sometimes doesn't get the materials until the day of the meeting.
Hmm.
So they asked to have this 4-day in there so that if it's to the clerk in 4 days, they get it 2 days ahead to read it.
And it doesn't go to the clerk, it goes to the zoning office, but yeah.
Okay, so we have to get it so that, because the BOA, all that information should already be there.
Right, but that's not in the rules of order, but we're addressing it in the Board of Adjustment.
Okay, but that should almost be in here so people know that it gets to,
Board of Adjustment, the rules regarding Board of Adjustment are not in your rules of order. It is not a standing committee of the county board. The Board of Adjustment has its own procedural ordinance, separate from,
okay,
but yeah,
but I mean, we still. Okay, they can have their own rules and regulation, but we should have rules to help cover them for this
No.
part.
I don't want the.
They don't overlap. They don't overlap.
They do not overlap. They are not a standing committee. They are not affiliated with the county board. No,
Okay,
That's the concept of it, that it's a separate.
yeah,
they're separate.
but I mean, that's where we got.
That's what happened
That's 4
before, is
days.
we had a Board of Adjustment statute ordinance over here, and then we had Board of Adjustments rules embedded in the zoning ordinances. They conflicted with one another. I certainly don't want to add a fourth place where we have Board of Adjustment rules, especially because they have nothing to do with the county board.
Okay.
All right, how
Does the
about,
County board appoint them,
They approved the appointment after the administrator
but
appointed.
we don't have nothing to do with
how
them.
about 259?
Nothing to do with them, Kim.
259, we're
This is,
talking about something that's not even in here.
That-
259.
that's the cleanup from the whole, was it January's
Yeah.
kerfuffle?
Where there was a point of order called,
Don't you think we're gonna get a lot of point orders called on
But
this?
guess what?
but this
Read
gives
that
you an either
first line again. Motions, amendments, debate of what?
at
Okay,
meetings.
debate will only begin after a motion has been made and seconded to bring it to the floor. Bring what? So do I bring public comment to the floor so we can talk
We
about
don't
Right.
debate public comment.
it? No, so we should put
Only
resolution.
debate,
Yep.
We have to add the word resolution.
we only debate resolutions.
Yeah, so we can add the word resolution, Kim.
Yeah, that should be added.
Well, we're discussing and working on rules of order
And it should just say a resolution at the end.
or something,
You
yeah.
Either bring the resolution to the floor to approve it or to disapprove a resolution.
I think we have to, but what if we want to postpone it? If we don't have enough information, we can't, we're stuck where we can't postpone it or table it.
You
No,
can do anything with
anything.
it.
No, it says it has to be seconded to bring to the floor to approve or disapprove. So we're locked into approve or disapprove.
No, absolutely.
That's what it says. Bring to the floor to approve or
Want
disapprove.
to add postpone?
Or you could
No,
just
I don't
say-
want to add all
You
the
want to
different
add
things.
Robert's Rules of Orders right in
Yes.
here? In
That
that
should
whole
be-
section?
But this is what it says right here, though. Our rule separate says it can only be bring to the floor to
No, this is saying, this is when
approve
debate.
or disapprove.
Because that's what we want.
Yes, one way or the other to get it over.
Our board wants debate not to start until a motion is brought to the floor
Yep.
to approve, disapprove, or
Postpone.
whatever they want.
But they
For
can't.
anything.
Right now, we can only approve or disapprove it.
That's,
No, I think
That's
you're
not
right.
true at all.
Well, the way it's, to me, the way in plain writing, it just, you only have those two choices.
raise your hand if you agree with Kim. Single hand.
Just
talking about
just start
debate.
debate.
We're only talking about,
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
debate.
we're not talking about the motion, solution, anything. All we're doing is saying, before it can be debated, it has to be
Bring it to the
bring
floor,
it to the floor.
however
Motion
you
to
want.
approve, motion to just
Bring it to the floor.
bring it to the floor and discuss it.
Yeah,
Right?
so
Bring it to the floor to postpone it.
I just think it's. gonna
Whatever
be-
you want.
And- Okay,
I don't
but
think
what
we
if I
need to-
want to table something or because
That's
there's
like,
not
we want
enough?
to add every single thing.
No, I
There's
don't.
so many
No.
options.
I
Yeah.
think
Leave it.
I think
We need
this
this.
current
We
board
need this.
understands what we're trying to do.
Yep,
We hope the next board understands what we're offering them to do.
Leave
Just
it.
don't let debate start until it's on the floor.
Right.
With a
And
second.
then if someone calls
but we
point
want to
of,
say
it's
to
to get
approve or
it.
disapprove. So I just think it should be read better. Okay, I've read it so many times, it just looks like that just locks us into those two
No.
decisions.
No, it's only to bring it forward.
Yeah,
So if you wanted to
Not the-
postpone. it,
not
you
what you're
could put it
talking
to-
about. I mean,
It's for the debate part only.
Kim, do you want to take
Basically.
out the red part?
No,
The to approve or disapprove? So it would read,
no,
Just
because you
leave it
gotta
as
bring it to the floor and do something.
yeah, bring it to the floor.
Because
And I think that's gonna get confusing, because if I bring something to the floor
I
and
think we
say
should put
approve it,
or in between.
and we vote on it, it's
I
approved.
saw that too.
Shabana and I are fixing it. We're adding the word or.
You actually
Bring it to the
vote on
floor
it to bring
or
it to the
approve it.
floor. Because the motion
There we
is to
go.
bring the
That's what-
resolution to the floor so we can have debate. It's not, so that's voted on.
So that should be separate then. And then. to
Well-
That's why we're adding or. So let me read it to you, Kim.
See-
This will fix it. I think. I really do.
I just,
They will-
because I looked in Robert's rules
Listen,
too. and
listen.
Debate will only begin after a motion is made and seconded to either bring it to the floor or to approve or disapprove.
And should we add at the end a resolution?
We'll add, bring a resolution to the floor or to approve or disapprove.
When you put resolutions in motion amendments, debate for resolutions at the heading. At the 259 line, the big dark one.
For what?
Resolutions up there. Motions, amendments, and debate for resolutions.
Sure.
There's a comma, it's,
I mean, but
you either.
motions, amendments, debate, it doesn't say for what.
For a
Motions, amendments. and debate.
resolution.
A
Okay, so the
resolution.
word resolution
You
should.
need to add that because what else do we debate?
Nothing.
That's what I'm saying. We gotta, but we should put it in there.
Well-
So that
You don't bring anything to the floor that isn't debatable through a resolution.
I mean, we had the administrator's position.
we have different things that we're, like I said, we
That's
bring
not
up.
always a resolution. We
We're
also
discussing
had that-
this and when that isn't a resolution yet. So we're discussing, there is things we discuss. I don't know if
Is
we
he
need it.
confusing the issue with facts or is he just
I
confusing
think you'd be
the issue?
limiting yourself then, Kim, if you put resolution,
Oh, yeah.
if there is something else that comes up that needs debate that isn't a resolution, then you'd be limiting that.
Yeah,
I think.
that's what I'm saying.
Typically, if the board debates anything, tell me if I'm wrong, if the board wants to discuss any other topic in the debate forum and have discussion on it, we go into a committee of the whole for discussion. Otherwise, debates and approvals are all done by resolution. That makes sense.
That's what I.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's going to be times you might want to debate the approval of Mo's appointment to the Board of Adjustment. Oh, I don't think so-and-so should do it because they're, I don't know, a realtor and they're gonna have.
That was a bad
conflict.
example. Board of Adjustment, we're not, we're dealing with them.
Well, and it would be something you would debate
Yeah,
that would not necessarily be a
be a
resolution.
resolution.
But don't we understand why this was put in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think. we
So
need
should
to-
A have debate, no, begin on a resolution?
No, I think you're limiting yourself.
Debate-
We just talked about all the ways you may not have a
No, but
resolution.
that's just,
You don't need to bring to the floor. Oh, let me think this through. You don't need to bring to the floor debate regarding, because let's say appointment to whatever, appointment
but you
to,
don't have to bring to the floor. Okay.
Well, they get approved. It would be motion to approve Mo's appointment to whatever, and then it would be up.
Yeah.
No, it's on the floor. No, it's up for
Yeah.
debate.
So that's why you can't put resolution, because you'd be limiting those times where we're appointing people by the chair or the administrator, or there's other cases, So if you put resolution in there, you would be limiting those discussions.
Let's just leave it as
I think so.
debate will only begin after a motion has been made. And then we'll add the word or. So you could bring it to the floor or you can bring it to approve or disapprove.
It doesn't have to be a resolution necessarily. Resolutions are by nature brought for in this matter.
No, not brought by nature, because that was point of order.
Starts before.
Well, that's half,
thought,
yeah,
So,
but that's.
but all someone has to do is call a point of order and
Yes.
say, there's no motion on the floor. What are we debating?
Should, good,
And
do it.
it gets there. I mean, the last
Yeah.
county board meeting got a little
Yeah,
out of control because of this.
Because of this,
right.
Well, but now we're gonna say.
we have to get
it's
that,
this or it doesn't get debated.
because there was a motion then after the fact that wanted to table it. So I mean, it was getting conflicting pretty well in there.
Yeah.
She tried to
Tried to
Table it.
postpone it
postpone
indefinitely,
indefinitely or whatever, yeah.
but there was already a
A
motion.
motion there, yeah.
All right, well, that'll,
Right,
and again, I mean,
and we'll probably
it'll
add
be
that.
the full county board that send this to the next board for consideration.
Yeah,
All right, how about
it's a little muddy.
279?
Because the executive committee is a standing committee, we put other to make that clear. So that's just clean up.
Oh. And then what's on the environmental services?
So that's where you have, it used to be an actual FSA person. Now it's just, someone from the agricultural.
I think they still vote on one to send to us, or they do it somehow. The FSA does it, yeah.
So that makes it a 6-person committee
And they have voting rights?
right now, yeah, for everything.
I thought we talked about that. They weren't going to unless it was a
Farming related.
farm related.
I thought so too.
That's the, everything arguably is somehow related. Conditional use permit for a tourist rooming house could be arguably related.
So when did it
Why don't we
roll?
make it a 5 or a 7-person board? So it's never a tie vote.
We just put that, according to Robert's rules, if it's a tie, the non-board member, county board member, his vote doesn't count. So that isn't Robert's rules.
Say that again?
Yeah.
So he's a non-supervisor.
So the
if it ended
FSA
up 3
person.
and 3, his vote would not
Vote
count.
doesn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it is kind of in there.
That's
All right.
that's what we.
That's what we looked up and found, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's in the rules.
All right, I'm good with that.
So
All
that
right.
saves us from that.
We don't need to change anything in there because we already changed it in that environmental services section.
So,
Yeah,
All right.
what's the next one down in legislation?
Yeah, so the committee chair people, which really is some of you, have not been providing written reports, so we took that out, so you don't.
okay, then on number 2, it has a written report there too, down below the committee and the county board of written reports, so we should.
That's the
Doesn't our
budget.
resolutions say how the committee recommended, no recommendation? Aren't we sending something? No?
We do.
We put it on. We, meaning that Shabana puts it on, or her staff. But that really isn't a written report from the chair. That's the clerk noting something on the resolution.
And a lot of the times anybody, like a chairperson will say, you know, this came out of our committee because of XYZ. There's not a written anything about it, you know. So that's why we're just taking out the written. You can still, you know, talk about your resolution coming from the committee, but you don't have to provide documents for it.
Executive summaries, yes.
All right, what's the next?
Page, yeah, number 3 there.
Organization.
No, go back to the page 8 to 14. Program evaluations,
What? Where are we going?
back a page, you were on the right
They
page.
missed one?
You missed one.
Not highlighted.
Yes, it is.
This,
On mine,
Program
Mine it is.
evaluation.
oh, on yours.
on mine it is.
Yeah.
Where we
Program
at?
evaluations, it's on the bottom, number 3. Program evaluations, it says the word periodically. I think we gotta put something in there.
You're on page 8?
Page 8, the bottom,
Page eight,
Bottom,
the bottom
second
line.
to
bottom of
last.
the page.
Before we did that, Shabana, should we take out the written in number 2?
I would think so.
You guys okay with that?
Who asked that?
Where you
Yeah,
at?
you said that.
Under number 2, budget development, the chairperson
I
must
got it.
provide the county board a written report on committee recommendations.
So that right here.
Yeah.
too.
Should that be consistent with the other one?
Yeah, I'll add that change.
This one periodically, what is that?
And then
What's periodically?
It means
Where you were.
sometimes with regularity.
How about as needed? Does that get us?
How about annual?
No,
Because it's been called about the
no, you can't.
program.
Can you
Is that
imagine?
a policy also?
Can you imagine human services doing a program evaluation for every single program in community services? They would have to meet all day, every day for a year. Program evaluations are intensive. So this is meant for, we've got,
Annually, but how do we check them? That periodically could be every 10 years.
it
Sure.
should be on your work
If necessary.
workflow.
It should be on your work plan.
And if there's something that comes up, like all of a sudden we need it's a crisis right now. We've got a crisis on mental health treatment facilities because of the closure of Sacred Heart Hospital. So this might be a time when we go, hey, HHS, you need to do a program evaluation of our behavioral health because we're gonna have, a deluge of crisis, right? So as needed, periodically, whatever word you want to use, but you do not want to obligate yourselves to annually reviewing every single program.
I have to look at these next ones. But the reason I did that, and it is health, which would be huge. Because before this last division director we had, that gal left, boom, 2 months later, $2.5 million wasn't collected.
What?
And that's why we should check this stuff. That's what happened. That year we had to write all that off.
Well, you definitely need to hold your administrator to account to oversee the division heads.
But I mean, that was why I marked this, because that's what had happened before.
Have been caught with a program.
Yeah, that would have.
Sure, if they don't evaluate their
That's
programs,
a finance thing.
Yeah.
same difference.
What page or where are you even at?
On, oh,
Page 8,
very bottom.
281, duties and responsibilities of all the standing committees, general. Where it just says periodically check stuff, means it doesn't get done.
Are you on the right page?
Page here,
Right there.
Are you on page 13? Yep, page
Yeah.
13.
bottom number 3,
Program evaluation.
bottom number 3
No.
programs.
And
That's
what are
what
you
I'm
trying
looking
to?
at.
He's got 13 here. and
It's page 8.
8 of
I got
14.
page 8 of 14.
Right next.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, there's two different pages.
Oh,
And
Got
so
it.
it's that one, but now so then when we get to these next ones, all of a sudden you get policy priorities, annual reviews, policy information, annual review of annual reports.
The policies are different than program evaluations. The
Okay. Well, let's hope it doesn't happen again to us then, if we're just gonna leave it periodically. I think there should be a number in there. Myself,
How many programs do you think that we have in this county?
I have no idea.
Probably 600.
I was gonna say it's hundreds.
So
Have any of them ever been checked periodically?
I mean, Kim, look, we just did a huge one in Health and Human, so.
But I mean, if there's 600 of them and it's periodically, did the last time you do it, does it say what, 2009?
Well, this has a date.
I'm bringing up
December.
stuff that comes back 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, we have dates.
I mean, do we not check things for 10 years and all of a sudden, oh, now what?
county board hires the administrator. If the administrator doesn't keep programs running appropriately, you hold the administrator to account. Committees doing program evaluations should be at when the administrator or the division head says, hey, we're having an issue, we need more money, or we need, input from the committee to make recommendations to the full board for, the next budget. That's how it should work.
Yeah, because, right, exactly, because what Kim's suggesting is we would go back to our old form of
Administrative
Not
court.
an old
not,
form.
non, non,
There's some,
it's meddling at below.
no, I'm not
Administrative.
meddling. I'm saying that we should review some of these things because it's 10 years down the road.
That's Mo's job.
And now, yeah,
Well, that, you know,
but they should let us know.
if a committee is
something's wrong.
interested, if the
Right.
committee's
That's exactly
interested in
right.
a,
We
in
should
a
let you
program,
know if something's wrong.
right? And if the committee's interested in a program, that's when they add it to the work plan to have staff, bring up the information on the program for the committee to look at.
But I'm
with
saying
that.
like birth to 3 is back, how many years?
Recycling.
Maybe 10
We
years.
did-
And now it's because of these closure, they say they're having troubles with it. Is that program reevaluated? I mean, is it a mandated program? Is it not? I mean, we let too much slide, I think, that way. So that's just my take on that.
That's still Mo's job.
Yes, but it's our job to take care of Mo, to make sure he does his job.
Well, then we could do
So-
a different.
so we
the
have to
work
have
plan,
some-
His work plan.
There's no connection. We don't even know how many programs we have.
All right, is anybody going here with the recommendation he's trying to make? Or are we just
Leave it
spinning?
periodically or put
Are we
a
just,
number on it.
you gonna leave it alone? Or are we fine? Are we gonna change it? Or do we recommend a change? Not that we're gonna change it.
I
Yay or
think,
nay?
I think we leave it.
Nay,
Nay.
Yeah, I think we just leave it for now.
All right, we're moving on. Where were we at?
9.
9 what? that's the next one.
Yeah.
Organization.
Yep,
Yep.
All right, what got changed there?
Where are you at?
The next
next
page.
page.
Environmental
It's
services
just
is
duties
not,
and responsibilities of standing committee generally.
Are you on page 14 of our copy?
Eight.
9 of
eight-
14.
I meant page 8 of 14. We
You
just,
just-
Get on,
That number.
get on page 9. of
okay, we're
14.
at 9. Yeah, I got you.
On
All right.
organization, what got added, deleted, changed?
Include alternate and second meeting.
Just removing that, including the alternative or second meeting dates of each month. So this is more specifically for ES that you guys are trying to drop down to that single meeting. What we've been doing is doing a cancellation notice for all of those second meetings because it's been listed as having 2 meetings a month. So instead of picking dates, it'd fall within the chair's discretion and the committee's discretion to pick that second date instead of,
having it written, if we need one.
right.
So
Instead of having it
it would
written.
be put in there as needed.
If you wouldn't
The
need,
second meeting, we do that at the meeting. now, correct?
you would just
Yeah.
do it at the meeting and saying, we're gonna be meeting this
That
next
would
time.
maybe help.
All right.
All right, how about number 11, the work plan? Something got crossed out?
Yeah, this had that the committee shall file with the clerk a report on the assessment of the current year's work plan, and the report must include an evaluation of progress against the previous year's work plan. Nobody's doing any of that. We have a work plan and we follow it, but we're not evaluating it to previous work plans. We're not checking our progress. I mean, it's just a work plan of items to come up. It's not something that gets evaluated.
Yeah. All right, how about the agendas?
We changed division directors to county leadership because that, of course, would include Mo and Malia. They weren't really included in that before. And then if deemed appropriate, committee agendas may include approximate time for agenda items. Before it just said that it should include times, and the only time that we usually do that is for ES public hearings. So the public knows when to be there instead of all these other agenda items having approximate times. We have no idea how long debates are gonna go on certain items. So just changing that to current practice.
What's next?
Let's go back up just in case, if I'm not reading it right, on number 6 on policy implementation. Annual review, and then it says at the last, review of annual reports on assigned program. So if we're assigned a program, it's an annual review. Okay,
yep, not an evaluation, an annual review.
yeah.
Yep.
Which should almost be the other periodical review. Okay, just so people know that there's policies mixed in here too.
Fine.
But I'm gonna ask, can we put the number 4 instead of just 4 in writing? It kind of pops out better for the 4-day. We did that in some of the zoning.
Yeah, you want it written instead of the number?
I want the number instead of writing. At least 4 days notice, people read right through that if you put the number 2, I think.
Oh, back there.
Just put 4 and then the number in parentheses.
Yes.
That's traditional.
That's what we did.
That's appropriate. Yeah.
In some zoning, it pops out better
That's fine.
to see the number.
Oh, I see, at least 4 days notice.
Now you have to
See
be,
what I said? There's 2 of them.
Okay, I'll add.
We're on 10 of 14,
Yeah.
now.
Mhm.
executive committee.
Just change the word shall to may again. And then in 6, there's something, that is
All right.
schools. That's very good catch.
Yeah, pretty self-explanatory instead of saying that basically the executive committee has to make recommendations for appointments. It's just saying that they may,
Right.
at their discretion.
Fine.
Didn't we used to have that we reviewed MOUs too?
Well, each MOU is,
MOUs are not,
We just took some of the bigger ones out and did them for a couple.
MOUs
of
are
minutes.
specific when they have financial things that goes to
Yeah.
the general government. So it would not be in this section that's talking about committee, all standing committee reviews in general.
they're out there to.
So that was just during the fair board where we pulled some of them out, the trail MOUs
That
and
was
some of
different.
that we reviewed. It was in our work plan 2 years ago.
That one we established because of the lack of connection or correspondence there between them and us. I think was the reason.
All right, page 11 of 14.
So on number one,
Yeah.
where does the 4-H piece fit in here? Does that fall under our FSA or does that,
See, that, like I said, it got missed, I think.
how do we?
Well, I mean, 4-H is a UW extension thing, and I guess it would depend on if you consider that related to ag, which would fit under ES, or if you consider that related just to financial, which you would fall under general government.
Yeah, because they don't just do ag, they talked real.
The ag part is just with us, is what we had.
So where it's falling, where is it then now?
It isn't anywhere. I could.
So- Yeah.
It isn't under
Do we
any,
give money to 4-H?
yes.
We partner with them big time in HHS. I don't know.
So I guess it should be wherever that's up to you guys. I
You tell me where it should go. I mean, should we put it under finance?
don't know enough about 4-H.
Actually, it's on,
4-H is diversified so much now that
So-
they're making.
so it's on page 12 on the top line. The
So-
extension, it's up.
So first,
Well,
page 11, let's start
under
at page
general,
11.
No, let's focus there and
So-
get through 11 and then.
This whole UW extension office, like this was a lot of me, the UW extension office, I removed only related to agriculture issues, because are they still coming? Because wasn't there a discussion in ES that they weren't even having people come to Polk County anymore?
They don't have an ag agent
They
in
don't
Polk
They
County.
don't
You
have
have an
any.
ag agent,
So
so
do we even need to even still have UW even as it relates to ag?
We do, and that's statutory,
right, that's statutory. Anything with ag with extension has to report.
has to have a
ES.
committee to
Have
go
that
to.
committee.
So we should uncross off
Yeah.
that top one.
Could we just say and UW extension office period and
Just
then
leave it
take off
alone.
related to ag and then that would cover the 4-H and it would allow them to be at ES.
No, because the UW regular stuff goes to general government, not to ES.
Put
They're
it on
two-
number 7 as we added agriculture under that with the state statute that
Yeah,
environmental services reports to that due to that extension there. Universe, the extension for its financing reports to general government.
So what are you suggesting? We put 4-H under number 7?
No.
It's not 4-H, it's the word agricultural covers.
just ag goes to the, and then actually the next page will have extension. You just have to put whatever else.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's covered.
All right, so you're
I think
gonna
it is,
add, on number 1, you're gonna add the extension back in.
Yeah, we're gonna take the cross.
That line has to go
Great,
back.
put that back in and then on 7, that's good.
Yep.
9, is 9 good?
These were, I think in the packets that I printed off today, incorporated those changes from ES of changing the wind to the renewable energy systems instead of just wind and adding that ordinance amendment season for ES. And then in the event of the tie vote, only standing county board supervisor members' votes will be counted.
That's who
Yeah,
that.
that's where that comes in.
Those
Yep.
Yeah, that's who that, let's go back to number 4. It's just in wording, I think. Supervisors will have the option to designate a representative in their stead that resides on their property within a lake. So I mean, we gotta redo that. wording.
No, so that came because of that one guy.
Yeah, but no, but I mean, look at the reading. It doesn't read right where I got it highlighted.
Representative in their stead that
In
resides
their stead,
Yep, that's,
instead
that
of that.
resides. Is that?
Yeah,
does
that's
it sound
correct.
Right.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That's that one guy
That's
in
me
St.
doing
Paul's
it.
Lake
Sorry.
has the guy that's his own representative.
Yep, okay.
All right, page 12 of 14.
remove Polk County Fair from Gen Gov because that got transferred to Public Safety, Public Works.
And we're adding back in UW extension in here. It was missed. So I do have that on.
So that's where this 4-H piece could fall under.
Yeah, but under this.
In the list,
If it comes to money that we're,
because some you'll
I mean, it's
list. some
covered,
you-
yeah, I mean,
you
so
don't. Okay.
We can work with them.
Well, I guess that would be the question. So UW extension is listed up in with the county clerk treasurer and IT. Is that considered that or is it considered an outside agency and should be listed?
it's somewhere in the middle, so I think as long as we have it in either
Okay.
spot.
It is up there at the top.
So it is there, yeah.
Do we fund the Salvation Army?
Yeah, that was the question. I don't think that we do. I've never seen.
We do any.
They reported to us when they were renting or
They rented.
hanging out in our old jail,
Yeah.
but I don't think we've had, so unless something changes, should we remove that?
Yeah, if they don't come for anything.
They don't anymore.
Very good.
All right, what's next? Number 4,
Claims. So,
just changing the word shall to may.
right,
So when you move it from shall to may, then where does it go? Where does a claim go?
so for example, the Wisconsin Realtors Association, before they filed the lawsuit arguing that our zoning ordinances were contrary to law, they filed a notice of claim with the clerk's office. But of course, that shouldn't come to general government because it's not, they weren't suing us for money. They're suing us for something that is ES related. So this is financial claims of any large amount that are not deemed immediately payable, like if our highway truck hits a car, you know, that's probably gonna be covered, so that wouldn't come here. But if somebody filed a claim saying the county, you know, owes me money because the sheriff locked me up in the jail and there was no, whatever.
I see, okay.
Any financial thing, that would have to come before this committee to make a recommendation to the Polk County Board to pay the claim or deny the claim.
We even need to say general government
But all the
specifically?
small ones we don't get, so we don't even know what's happening. The board itself wouldn't know what's happening if we don't leave shell in there.
No, I
I
hear
mean,
what
how many claims do we get a year against us?
A decent number.
I mean, that'd be, I mean, the process, I mean, even
But I mean, just so that's what it is.
against the county, I mean, you'd look at a rock claim coming from a mower. Before we could act on that, we'd have to bring it back to this
We'd have
committee.
to act on it, but can we see how many claims that we're
We
getting?
can give you a report, maybe quarterly of
Or
claims.
annually or whatever,
Because
but
we
I mean,
have, yeah,
So my
Because-
question, hold on,
I just don't think we get that many that it wouldn't be a big deal. At least so we know.
a number of little ones that, you know,
You'd be surprised how many calls we get for, they see our name on a dump truck,
Yeah,
so they
for
think about
windshields.
windshields
Sure.
and, we would do chip seals, mowers, they see our mowers out
Yeah.
there, so we get a lot of those type of claims, or a pothole that damaged their tire, they'll claim, we get quite a few of those.
Bill for knocking over a telephone pole for $5,800 that you're not even near, and it's a year later. They just send you a bill.
All right,
Yes,
I think that's a very good choice to change the
Yeah.
word shall to may. What's next?
number
7,
7.
Periodically
get that
review.
shall out of there.
Yeah.
And put may. Number 9,
But now we have annual reviews in a different place of those, and now we have periodically here. Now you go back a few pages, and it says in the policy that you go back to that page 9, number 6, review annual reports and all this, review annually.
Those are annual policy reviews. Those are different than,
And then MOUs too are in there, I think, if I remember here. And stuff, because MOUs are rentals, I thought, were every year.
Some MOUs are specifically written as to when they meet.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah,
fair, we meet, they report once a month now.
yeah, but the MOU is like once a year.
general government only reviews those that have a financial impact,
Yep,
otherwise they don't.
Well,
so then who does the other ones? It was my question, that's where we left the other ones. Like the trail ones and
Yeah.
stuff are not financial.
I see, yeah, right,
And
well,
I thought that's where the executive did some of those.
I don't think executive does any.
I don't think
LOUs.
so.
I got a deal that we sat through the trail ones and stuff 2 years ago.
We've gone through, most of these MOUs have gone to a year status on most of them, without renewing on a year cycle.
Without
there's no
denying,
issues on them.
they keep going.
They keep going.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very specific, but we have MOU with the state for self shed repair.
Yeah,
those
all
are
the different MOUs, there's quite a few, yeah.
Commissioners. The reviews for leasing and that, Donna's done a great job on getting those on an annual basis and listing those out. And at some point, I'm not sure where they are in the work plan for general.
See, so I think that is actually in a policy that the administrator does. And same as the next one on 8. That's part of the administrator job as a policy. So we're mixing policies into here, into our rules of order.
And I think that's why it says may periodically review lease agreements as they come up.
Yeah,
That's my duty is to make sure they're,
because some of the
Annual review.
trail ones are yearly, some aren't, and that, yes, okay. But I mean, the MOUs still have to have some oversight.
correct. And that's why that's a, change that word from shall to periodically.
Yep,
Number 9 was scratched, cause it'll go to the county board.
Right.
Well, number 2 on the next page.
We talked about this in Health and Human Services, just kind of more cleanup, capitalizing CRA and then adding ADRC, even though they have their own board and governing. They still have to have a way to bring things to the county board, and that would be through HHS, which also keeps in line with our budget where their stuff kind of falls under the HHS section.
All right, how about the number 1 under public safety?
Just again, buildings and facilities was not mentioned in there before, so that's cleanup, and the CJCC reports to that committee.
And then we added Polk County Fair also for your guys's changes.
Cause they got moved from general government to
Right.
somewhere else.
Which makes sense because most of the back and forth with the Fair Society is about building improvements and property upgrades, so.
Yep.
Makes sense.
And why was 5 scratched?
Because no one on Public Safety, Public Works is currently the liaison. It is actually Jay Luke that is serving because CJ Simmons had conflicts, time conflicts as far as making those meetings. So rather than saying it must be from this committee, this still allows it to be from this committee, but doesn't require it. So at least there's someone from the board.
Right.
On there. All right, anybody got anything else they wanna add?
Yeah, we had one more thing in HHS, and that is, so,
Where you at with it?
no, oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were done.
Oh, we are done with this.
Yeah, so this is a big picture thing. So if we're done with the edits, so the discussion was at our committee, how do we make committees? You can help me. Supervisor Wood he says, I don't have a plan, but I have an outcome. And the outcome that he was talking about wanting to achieve was to have a diversity of our committees not made up of the same people all the time. So that they're standing committees that have the same people year after year after year. He didn't have an idea about how we get to that. And so we kind of landed on maybe we have a conversation at committee of the whole, or we recommend that that's what we should do. We should just recommend that the next board discuss this topic at however, organizational meeting. So that it's not really term limits. I use that term and I don't think that's correct because we want to keep consistency and we want to have continuity, but we also want to have new blood. So let the next board figure that out. However you want to articulate it, however we want to write that down.
They're selected by the rest of the board and committee.
Well,
So if
It
somebody
doesn't
makes their
necessarily
claim,
mean that you go from public protection one year to public protection automatically the next year.
but there was,
well, it could be a mess for staff, but like John made the thing too, then you don't appoint the doctor.
No,
That's-
this is just
things like that.
yeah, right. We
You
need
know
to
what I
keep
mean?
the
I mean, he
citizens, no,
was looking at that part.
we want to keep the citizen people, that's exempt. It's just the county board people. Cause like it came up with, Denise wanted to get on environmental services and there was no
She
way for her.
Voted on.
What?
Not voted on.
That's, you vote for the people that are there. I mean,
There was
No opportunity for her to get
She was
on.
not, she had no opportunity, she had every opportunity as anybody else because she was voted on to be on that committee.
What happened last time, if I recall, was there was three options. There was people that were on existing standing committees. If there was anyone that wanted off those committees.
Right.
Or if anyone wanted that committee. Environmental services last go around, there was no changeover in that committee. So all those members
just
stayed.
one, yeah. I think, yeah.
Basically, the only change on environmental services came was after the organizational meeting when,
Sharon Kelly.
Sharon Kelly moved out and it was appointed to Jeremy Hall. So,
Right.
I think
But
that,
public safety.
that's the way it was working. If there's not a,
Vacancy.
vacancy on that committee currently, the last cycle, there wasn't an opportunity for someone to go on there.
Because it's given to tenure.
It's
Right.
given tenure that if you want to stay on that committee, you can stay on that committee.
Which is the way it works at a lot of legislative bodies. Seniority, you get the best committees, you get the Ways and Means, and you get, but there's also the idea that you might have someone with a particular level of expertise where they could be very valuable on a particular committee. And if it continues with tenure being the really primary basis for committee assignments, you might forego that opportunity. I think, is that?
I think that's what yeah, you're right. I think
Isn't there a means that
It would,
seem to me that if 6 people want to get on the same committee, the committee is approved by the county board as a whole.
right, but the county board as a whole, the last go round decided that the way they were gonna select committees was if you want to stay on the committee you were on before, you get that right of first refusal for that spot.
Then
Wasn't it
we
choice?
voted too. Yeah, I think we voted each person kind of.
In other words, if
Yeah.
a 5-member committee, the 5 members that are on it are all reelected, that's automatically the committee.
That's the way the last,
If they want to stay, there may be
Right.
a person that doesn't
Yeah.
want to stay, but
Right, I mean, most, you'd rather have the experience in the committee.
And
You wouldn't
all
want a
the committee.
rollover of let's just take public safety, for example. You
Right.
wouldn't want a complete rollover. I mean, we have the knowledge of what happens in that department and we attend the conventions, we get all the updates, we stay up on the state stuff. I mean, you're just gonna roll it over and
Well, you can take my spot, we'll trade, because look at the mess it would be. Go from an hour meeting to 4 hours.
after seeing what it's done to you, Kim, I think I'll pass.
I mean, it would get tough to turn, I mean, like you said, that'd be tough to turn
Well,
some of
yeah.
these.
I don't
The
think.
staff,
yeah.
would- the staff
Wood
would
has
be,
a really good idea, and there's a way to get there. And that's eliminate all the committees and have one
that would be the only way.
county
Yeah.
board.
Committee as a whole.
Committee of the whole, the county board,
You better,
you're involved, you're in every committee.
No, I don't
Oh,
think that
you
would.
better plan on about
What
it.
does it matter?
Well-
Well, we're here for 8, 9 hours.
We're here for a full day for zoning, because we usually have 3 and 4
So
hours.
can we at least just kick this to the next board for discussion?
Absolutely.
Sure.
So-
They'll make their own decision on
Yeah,
how
so
the appointments are made.
Yeah.
We
So-
won't make them.
I
let's
think
just
it's
keep-
one thing to vote on right away. Otherwise, we're gonna spend a lot of time trying to come up with different ways.
Well, last
to do it.
time we had a facilitator to help us get through it,
Right.
so.
Just, yeah. That's kind of like you did before. We used to put stickers up and
Yeah,
that,
that
Well,
was,
Bob was
Yeah,
around it.
pretty much.
Well, someone guided us through it last.
it was Bob and Tim.
go.
Bob and Tanya, I think that.
Yeah.
Bob and Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jim Anderson will,
And they-
probably set it up.
they brought up the idea and said, is this an approach people want to take?
Yep.
And the majority said yes.
That's, well, that's
So
what
we
we
did.
do.
And
So
that's,
they'll
then
do
we'll
the
have
same
that
thing
dis-
this time.
this kind, okay,
Sure.
then that's how it gets addressed. Okay,
Same go around.
and now,
There is that fear though. I mean, if, like you say, tenure is very important, that knowledge on there. You could get people that run for county board with an agenda. I want to get on a specific committee and disrupt it.
Even though committees have no authority
that's,
at
yeah.
all. That's
Right.
why.
They make it hard with staff.
Well, even question why we have them. I mean, a lot of stuff just gets rubber stamped. I mean, send it on to county board.
Yeah.
With or without a recommendation. I mean, doesn't really get dug into and researched and anything done about it.
True.
So why not just get it to county board and we'll debate it there?
But generally,
Why even waste our time and money on
most of that
committees?
stuff, due to the fact that the committees are repetitious and such, that they already pretty much know about what a new proposal is. They're familiar with the questions, and it goes to the county board with knowledge. You
No,
know,
I get all that. I just think, I think last time exhibited this situation where we don't want to lose people who are expert in a particular area.
well,
If the committees are, I don't know what the solution is, like.
expert, X is a has-been, spurts.
There's only gonna be so much turnover, yeah.
All right, let's talk about the code of ethics, getting incorporated
Yeah.
into our rules of order.
You want them?
I'm good. We got the copies of the changes
that?
to the,
Yeah, I'll go grab them. I printed
You're
them.
not
Just
done
didn't
with it.
grab
Can
them.
we take, while she's doing that, can we take a 5-minute break?
Yeah.
That'd be all
Sure.
right.
I thought we'd
Oh,
done
that's
it.
great. I had
I
one
thought
more
we'd
thing
done it
we
in
skipped
5
over.
We'll take a break.
It's,
Want to take a 2-minute break?
How you doing? Good, how are you?
1D, and then under number 1. So if there's something on our agenda, I think it has to be reviewed. It should be reviewed. It says, shall make. Review and make recommendations to the county board on all proposed resolutions, ordinances assigned to that committee.
So you just want that highlighted?
I want that highlighted because it did happen once or twice that people just skip over things.
Which one are you on? Resolutions?
Legislation.
Yeah.
First sentence.
Right here.
Oh, the first.
He's saying that
Oh, okay, up there.
we're supposed to be making
Yep,
a
right.
recommendation to the county board on
Yeah.
all proposed resolutions.
Because that was the battle and people, their resolution would die in committee then.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I feel like we
that
should-
wouldn't get moved along.
Right.
So this, whether you like it or not,
No
you say yes, no.
ever dying.
So you
Yeah.
could send it without, by
It should
disagree.
come with a recommendation to approve or disapprove. It should come
Or
with
no
a
comment.
recommendation.
Oh,
Well, it shouldn't come with none. It says to
Yeah.
make a recommendation to the
All
county
right.
board.
Yes.
Committee says-
So that's what I'm saying. That's our committees have to
This-
kind of do
the
that.
Committee would
better.
say vote this resolution down. That's our recommendation.
all right.
Yeah,
Well,
That's-
it's already in there, so.
it's in there, but it is.
But it should be highlighted so the committees are doing. it.
Yep.
Are you saying, Kim?
All you gotta do is call a point of order and people do something wrong, and you can do that at committee. But if
I'm
you
saying then,
Point of order.
if I don't like an ordinance that somebody's put in there, I could kill it.
We've been trying to ask on all our
Yeah.
motions, do you want with an approval?
But-
If you don't recommend,
approval.
I would
it
say
come from a,
90, no.
You can't
70.
look at it at the county board level.
Right.
Get with no recommendation. Pass
We want that or we don't want
It
that?
says in our
I-
rules of order that they should have a
For my,
recommendation.
Let's do
I
that.
can
Let's
kill yours at my committee.
All right,
highlight it.
just highlight that.
Yeah,
Can
I
you
think-
just highlight
just
that
highlight.
first
You want it
sentence?
in bold?
Yes,
yeah.
Okay.
No
Like
big
that.
deal.
pretty pink.
Yeah.
Yeah, highlight it, and so it's brought up that this is the
Yep.
committee, one of the committee's jobs is to bring it to the county board with the recommendation.
It will be bolded.
That's the explanation is they can't kill it then in a committee.
All right.
Wait, I have a question about that, because we ran into this with the fentanyl is what we're
Yes.
talking about. So nobody made a motion or a second in HHS. So I went by rules of order and didn't bring it to the floor.
Right, so that
But
could
that's our rules here, not rules of
Wait,
order.
just listen, let me hear.
still go to the county board then.
Okay,
Been to a committee. It could still go to a county.
so we would just report what happened and it would,
Committee didn't, right.
okay, I see.
I just read it out loud.
I think it's that committee's job
It's the
to
committee's job
make
to
a
do that. It's
recommendation
in our
on
rule of
that
order.
Right.
resolution.
But if nobody on the committee is willing to bring it to the floor, that probably means nobody on the committee is willing to call point.
So then they're
Then they
not
should
by the
send
rules.
it, send it to
And
Again,
that committee
without-
should be brought up to the
Without
ethics
ethics.
committee and ask them why they're
There you
not
go.
doing their job.
There you
If
go.
they don't want to do it,
That's
go
why
home.
I just, that's why I marked it and read it.
Put it out there.
Just, if you don't like it, vote it down.
Yeah. or
Don't just
send
give
it,
it, vote it, send it.
vote it with a
No,
recommendation that this be tabled.
You can't
Indefinitely.
fall back on Robert's rules.
Right.
So we would just
This
say-
supersedes Robert's rules.
Okay,
Ours do.
okay, so we would basically be saying every committee has to take a position on everything that comes before them as opposed to
That's
Robert's
their
rules.
That's their job.
So we would,
That's,
I hear you, but we're not saying Robert's rules would kick in at the committee level.
no,
No.
it does kick in. This supersedes Robert's rules. Our rules of order
Okay,
supersedes Robert's
Okay.
rules.
I see.
Robert's rules is the broad one.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Recommend.
So if we don't specify it in our rules, you fall back to Robert's.
I
rules.
see. Okay.
So it's.
All right.
Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right,
Thank
that's
you,
enough,
thank you.
enough. Get to the code of ethics.
Holy
Where
balls.
we want this incorporated into our rules of order.
We talked
Is
about
that our
recommending,
recommendation?
yeah,
And the changes that are in here Does anyone, we're not going line by line again. This is gonna go to.
Let's just kick it to the next board with the recommendation that this gets embedded
No.
or not. Just leave it at that.
I mean, we have the section that has decorum and ethics generally in
In
the rules of order. So
and it references the ethics.
it
What is it?
just says are subject to the county ethics provisions adopted, whatever.
That would
So
be
we would
good.
just be incorporating these into the rules of order rather than have it referenced in the rules of order.
We could do that, just take this whole document and put it in here.
Right, add it.
Good with that?
And what we can do, because this board could meet again before the April meeting, essentially, we could,
Do the,
or I could have it done today before I resend out county board.
yeah, because I have another thing for Ken. But it's not my fault.
See, if we changed it. to
Because
be
we just got
today,
this, we can
we'd
read
have
through it
this issue.
whenever, and this would just go to the committee of the whole, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it'll definitely be
That's what it-
discussed at county board,
Sure.
because the
But the
changes that we're recommending from this committee to the county board, we're recommending that they make all the changes that we talked about.
The next
Yeah,
board.
the next board.
The next board.
Just to take it at this.
Well,
And this goes with it. Yeah,
Right, that's all we were gonna do.
that's, yep.
That's all we need.
so why would we, what are we gonna do again before the next?
I don't think we need to do anything.
Do you want them kept separate, or we're talking about actually just taking this document and putting it into the rules of order under the provisions of ethics?
And we don't,
Instead of having two separate documents, putting the code of ethics into the rules of order instead of two
Is there
separate.
a spot to put it in?
Yes, there is.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, put it in there, and then it's all one document.
Because where else do you find it? Like I said, where else do you even find it?
Well, you're handed it,
can't find it.
you're handed this at the
That's-
initial meeting.
They don't hear me.
I heard you.
Yeah.
The supervisor gets handed so many things at the initial meeting. This is just one more thing they're handed.
Oh, yeah.
Unless they read this or read the rules of order,
The free for
follow
all.
it along.
We're all gonna interpret it different anyway. What's ethical?
Well,
Well.
Well, we'll read this, see what you
it's-
think, and
it's
mark
this
it up.
committee, isn't it, that enforces the ethics?
General
Well-
government is grievance, isn't it? And then,
No,
No.
county board is.
General government is grievance for WPPA,
oh, for the, okay, that's right,
like.
for the sheriff's stuff,
County
yeah,
board is through our,
okay.
yeah.
And all the changes that are in the current one that I handed out, you want incorporated as well into the rules of order.
It's all right.
Proposed, so.
That the next committee, next.
The next committee
debate.
consider that.
Yeah.
Next county
For
board.
April.
Yeah.
Consider.
No, no, the next board and, oh yeah, April.
In April.
Next, yeah, it's already.
Well, would they be doing it already in April, a new seating? It'd be May. They've already waited a May. Yeah, we've waited.
This will be, this, is the third meeting in April, third Tuesday, we have to meet organizational, that's when this will all come up. That's a policy too, isn't it?
By the county board.
The new board.
Meets at an organizational, meeting.
Let's first meeting organizational.
Organizational, you don't have to address the rules of order at that meeting. You're already gonna be.
that'll be addressed at the third meeting, at the second meeting in April, on the third Tuesday,
Yeah,
is that
know.
organizational.
There's only one meeting in April.
Right,
It'll probably be the May county board.
right, so April,
You
you
better
better
read some policies and find out again, because I've read where it
All
has
right,
to be
well,
done.
During, while you're reading them, we're gonna identify subject matters for our next meeting. And are we meeting on April 11th? Do we have a reason to meet April 11th? Not, because if we don't, meeting. Do have a reason, we'll meet April 11th.
I don't have anything.
Unless for some reason something crazy happens at county board with rules of order and they say, no, look at them again or something, and we'd have to meet for that. But
There's 5 of us that vote no for that, so it's hard.
well, there you go.
All right, so if we need a meeting April 11th, if something comes up that the executive committee needs to meet, schedule the meeting. If not, I We're just not gonna meet, all right, we have one item to go.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned at 10:29,
10:30, but I have.
30, all right, 10.